Imagine waking up to find out the world's biggest economy just forgot to pay its own bills. That's right, the U.S. federal government has officially hit the pause button. Congress couldn't agree on how to fund the nation, and now Washington's lights are flickering like a bad motel sign. Millions of federal employees, from park rangers to Pentagon analysts, are suddenly staring at empty paychecks while lawmakers trade blame on cable news. Welcome to America's latest political tradition, the government shutdown, the one recurring event that manages to unite everyone in frustration. I'm your host from Global Pulse Newz, where we cut through the drama and show you what's really going on behind the political smoke machine. Here are 10 facts you need to know about this shutdown, what caused it, who's hurting, who's grandstanding, and what it really means when the world's richest country runs out of lunch money. The clock struck midnight, Congress missed the deadline, and just like that, the federal government entered shutdown mode. Every few years, lawmakers act like college students cramming for finals, except this time, they didn't finish the paper. Without an approved spending bill, federal agencies lose the legal authority to operate normally. Essential services like national security and air traffic control keep running, but everything else slows or stops. Picture a giant bureaucratic power switch, half off, half barely on. And this wasn't a surprise. Everyone saw the train coming. Both parties were too busy negotiating for leverage rather than solutions. As one analyst put it, Washington didn't fall asleep at the wheel. It just decided to argue about who was driving. Transition. But who exactly feels this mess first? Spoiler, not the ones arguing on Capitol Hill. Roughly 2 million civilian federal employees and 1.3 million active-duty military personnel are affected. That's not a typo. Millions of workers facing pay delays or furloughs. Agencies send stop-work emails, payroll departments go dark, and employees start Googling side hustles during shutdown. In Michigan, one National Guard member told reporters, "This isn't what I signed up for." No kidding. It's hard to protect the country when the country can't protect your paycheck. Historically, Congress reimburses workers once the shutdown ends, but bills don't wait for politics. This is the human side of fiscal failure. Real families juggling rent, food, and childcare because elected officials treat deadlines like suggestions. Transition. And while the workers wait for back pay, politicians start rehearsing their favorite play, the blame game. Republicans blame Democrats for overspending. Democrats blame Republicans for obstruction. Meanwhile, Americans blame both. Each side claims moral high ground while standing knee-deep in gridlock. In past shutdowns, both parties eventually claimed victory, but voters rarely see one. Public trust dips, approval ratings sink, and the political circus continues. It's less House of Representatives and more House of Reality TV. Transition. But let's zoom in from Washington's finger-pointing to the actual ground game, where everyday Americans are already paying the price.
Beyond the marble halls of Congress, the shutdown hits ordinary citizens in quietly devastating ways. Families waiting on federal loans or benefits face delays. Small business owners lose contracts tied to government projects, and tourist hotspots like national parks closed again. Every closed gate represents a family vacation canceled or a local business losing income. Then there are the ripple effects. When government workers don't get paid, they stop spending, which squeezes local economies. Restaurants near federal offices empty out. Childcare providers lose clients. The ripple becomes a wave. So while politicians exchange press statements, Main Street takes the punch. And yet, in true Washington fashion, there was a so-called quick fix on the table, but even that went nowhere fast. Leaders proposed a short-term funding plan, the kind of political duct tape designed to keep the lights on for a few weeks. It needed 60 votes in the Senate. It didn't even come close. Democrats said the proposal gutted health care subsidies. Republicans said Democrats refused to cut wasteful spending. Translation, both sides found a way to hate it equally. In Washington, failing to compromise has become the new form of bipartisanship. And the irony? Most Americans wanted exactly that stopgap deal, just to avoid this chaos. But instead of collaboration, we got confirmation that politics still trumps practicality. And where there's dysfunction, there's always a spotlight. Cue the social media showdowns. The government may be closed, but Twitter never sleeps. Within minutes of the shutdown, hashtags like Shutdown 2025 and Do Your Job trended. Lawmakers fired off tweets faster than they drafted bills. Representative Ocasio-Cortez declared Congress shouldn't get paid while troops go without. Several others echoed that sentiment, conveniently forgetting their salaries continue regardless. Social media outrage is now part of the shutdown ritual. Everyone performs empathy online while avoiding accountability offline. It's like watching firefighters tweet about the blaze instead of grabbing a hose. And yet, it works. Outrage fuels attention, and attention fuels re-election. But beyond the tweets and grandstanding, there's an economic time bomb quietly ticking. Every shutdown costs money, lots of it. The 2019 closure drained about $11 billion from the U.S. economy, with $3 billion never recovered. This one? Economists predict hundreds of millions lost per day as federal spending freezes. Delayed contracts, suspended research grants, and closed national parks ripple through every state. Ironically, the shutdowns meant to save money end up wasting it. It's fiscal fitness by starvation, starving the system you claim you're trying to fix. Even Wall Street watches nervously because uncertainty makes investors sweat more than bad news itself. But surely this can't be normal, right? Oh, but it is, and that's part of the problem. This isn't new. The U.S. has shut down 22 times since 1976. It's basically a national hobby now, like football season, but with less scoring. Each time, it follows the same pattern: political standoff, partial closure, and eventual patchwork deal that solves nothing long-term. The root issue is simple. America's budget process rewards brinksmanship. Each party treats funding deadlines as negotiating leverage, not responsibilities. So every few years, taxpayers become pawns in a recurring fiscal soap opera. In most democracies, failure to pass a budget can collapse a government. In America, it just ruins your weekend plans. And speaking of global comparisons, the rest of the world is watching and not exactly impressed. Internationally, U.S. shutdowns look bizarre. Imagine explaining to Europe or Japan that the world's leading democracy can't fund itself because politicians refuse to agree on paperwork. Allies get nervous, adversaries get ideas, markets wobble, and headlines abroad read like satire. U.S. government shuts down, again. Foreign diplomats politely express concern while quietly planning around America's unpredictability. It chips away at the image of competence Washington once projected. And for rivals like China or Russia, it's political popcorn time, proof that democracy can be its own worst enemy. Yet, amid the embarrassment, there's one faint upside: the lesson buried inside the dysfunction. Every shutdown exposes how fragile governance has become. It reminds citizens that democracy isn't self-driving. It needs maintenance. When lawmakers fail to compromise, the country pays the bill. But each time, public frustration grows louder and pressure builds for reform. Maybe that's the silver lining: accountability. A shutdown forces Americans to confront the cost of political theater. It also spotlights the essential workers who keep the country functioning even when leadership stalls. If anything changes after this one, it might be public patience, running out faster than federal funding. So here's the bottom line. America's government is closed for business, but the consequences are open all day. From unpaid workers to delayed services and economic uncertainty, the cost of congressional gridlock is real and rising. The solution? Political courage, not performance. But until Capitol Hill finds that courage, the least we can do is stay informed and engaged. If you found this breakdown useful, hit like, drop a comment, and tell us, who do you think is really to blame for this shutdown circus? And don't forget to subscribe to @Global Pulse Newz, where we deliver world events with clarity, speed, and just enough bite to keep it interesting. Because when Washington stops working, someone still has to explain the madness, and that's what we're here for. Thanks for watching, stay sharp, and let's hope the next government restart comes with a receipt.